Here's your help video for setting up your spreadsheet for your position, velocity, and acceleration graph data from your Hot Wheels car. First, you have to create your spreadsheet. And so I'm just opening up my spreadsheet, and I'm going to set up a title for my spreadsheet. Usually what we want to do is put your name first, and then what the graph or what the spreadsheet represents. So this is position, velocity, acceleration graphs. And so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And so it changes the name up there. Now I want to also make sure that this is shared. And so you want to share this with me. This is the box down here, add people, where you start typing my name. And you'll want to make sure that you're getting the right one because there's two of me in here. And so make sure you're taking the one that's the bhmschools.org. And I'm not going to say that because I don't need to. Okay, but make sure that you uncheck the notify me by email. I don't need to have all the emails coming to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and save that. You should actually see me now in the list up here, and then you can click done. So that's setting up from that point. The next thing you need to do is you actually need to take the data from the strip of paper and actually insert it into the data table. So I'm going to start here by making a heading, and we're going to call this time interval because we were measuring our time intervals every 10 dots, and then we had the distance in between them. And that was measured in centimeters. And so now I'm just going to put all my numbers in here. So I'm just going to do 2.5. And so you can see I'm just getting all my distances entered in here first. And there's my last one. Now I'm going to do my time intervals. And my time intervals actually started over here, and each interval was 1/6 of a second. I'm going to have the computer actually do that by doing 6 divided by 1. And then I'm going to fill that down because every time interval was the same amount. All right, so now I can just clean this up a little bit, make it look a little nice so it's easier to read. I'm going to make sure I'm watching my significant figures from my ruler that I was using, so I had every 100th of a centimeter. And now I've got that data. Okay. Next step is to make the numbers that I'm going to plot on a point per position time graph. So this is my scatter plot information. So I'm going to do time, and again measure that in seconds. And I'm going to do displacement now, because this is now going to be how far away I am from my start point. Now the starting point on our tape started at time equals 0 and displacement equals 0. That gives us our frame of reference. And now I'm going to build a formula that's actually going to walk through the rest of it. So my formula is going to be an equal sign. I'm going to take this time, and I'm going to add to that this interval time. And that's going to give me a continuous adding up. So I'm going to find out what the total time was on my chart, and I'm just going to go one step below as I do my fill down. And you can see that then I continue to add up all of my times, and I know how much time my total tape represents. I'm going to do the same thing then with my displacements. I'm going to create that formula where I'm going to sum essentially every step of the way my distances. Again, I'm going to set this up so I get it a little cleaned up. So we'll put a little, make it look pretty. There we go. Now, the next thing that I'll need is because I'm going to be doing a time versus displacement or position time graph, I'm also going to be doing a velocity time graph. So I'm going to make a column that I'm going to call velocity. Okay, and this one we're going to be measured centimeters And I'm going to do this again. The start of it was at 0 centimeters per second, so it wasn't moving when we first started. Now I'm going to create a formula that's going to represent my velocity. So again, the formula is a change in my displacement over my change in time. I do need to use grouping symbols when I do this. So I'm subtracting my displacements and subtracting my time. And there we go. We've now created a velocity. That velocity equation can be pulled all the way down, and it'll actually then show me my speeds as I was getting faster, and then I think I started to slow it down on the other end. All right, and again, I'll just clean this up, make it nice and pretty. There we go. So there we go, that's my 3 columns. Now from here, I'm going to generate 2 graphs. In fact, down here at the bottom, I can actually rename this. So I'm going to rename this and call this the data tab so that it doesn't get confused with the charts when I put my charts in. So my first chart that I want to make is a chart where I'm going to do my position versus time. So again, I'm looking at my data set and I want to grab time because the time is going to be the x value. Add another range, that's going to be my displacement, so this is my position time. Say OK, and of course change it to a scatter plot. You can see that I'm going to have a nice little scatter plot. You can go through and do all the customizing, label it, do all of that fun stuff, but for time's sake I'm going to skip doing that and just say insert, and then I want to make sure that I put it on its own sheet. And down here, I can rename that sheet to be my position graph. And then from there, I can go ahead and do my next one, which is my velocity time. And I set that one up the same way. So hopefully this helps you get those 2 graphs created. The third graph we're going to create is an acceleration one. And so acceleration is going to need a formula as well, and we'll do the change in velocity over the change in time. And that's how we'll create our acceleration. We'll get our constant acceleration then for that one. All right? And so make our graph, and we'll look at that as well. Good luck, and don't forget that you do need to share the document with me.